The theories and speculations surrounding Jeffrey Epstein are fueled by one fact. He was firmly embedded within the most powerful circles in the world. It's an uncomfortable reality for the reason that the full scope of his network will likely remain unknown. Ranging from entertainment to academia to politics, the number of powerful individuals that are confirmed to be in Epstein's orbit is remarkable. When considering Epstein's ordinary beginnings as a high school teacher, it becomes clear that his cunning ability to mingle and court elites played a big role in his rise. This is what landed him one of his most useful connections, billionaire Leslie Wexner, the CEO of the company that owns Victoria's Secret as well as Bed Bath & Beyond. Puzzling everyone, he gave Epstein power of attorney in 1991. One Wall Street executive explained, "It's just not typical for someone of such enormous wealth to all of a sudden give his money to some guy most people have never heard of." Wexner's longtime confidant and financial advisor Sandy Lewis was also stunned by this. In Vanity Fair, it's reported that he couldn't figure out why Wexner had turned to Epstein to manage his money. Sandy Lewis believes that Epstein was an effective smooth talker who managed to cozy up to the right people, describing him as a con artist. Quote, "I can't imagine, frankly, why a man of his intelligence would simply hand the controls over to another guy. My feeling is that he had been seduced out of his loneliness to trust this guy." End quote. Jeffrey Epstein befriending Wexner led to his acquisition of one of the most expensive mansions in Manhattan. One person says Epstein paid $20 million for it. Others speculate that he only paid $1. Records of the transfer indicate that no money was exchanged between Epstein and Wexner for the mansion. Epstein's close friendship with Leslie Wexner opened a unique access to an elite network of powerful people. For one of his birthday parties, Wexner asked his friends to bring the smartest person they had met that year. There's no doubt Epstein used these sorts of events to his advantage. He told friends, "I invest in people, be it politics or science, it's what I do." One of Epstein's girlfriends reveals a more candid portrait. He told her, "I control everyone and everything. I collect people. I own people. I can damage people." In a Vanity Fair report, a Sports Illustrated model describes, quote, Epstein watching her brush her hair and asking, "Do you use a Mason Pearson brush? The expensive brush favored by stylists in the fashion industry." She said yes, and he responded excitedly that he did too. He said, "Oh yes, they're the best." He was like a little boy who got his cool toy, and then he'd collect people just like that hairbrush. It was so odd. End quote. Although Wexner did open opportunities to meet powerful financiers and senators, Epstein had already started embedding himself in elite circles. Honoring Wexner's birthday wishes, Epstein brought Ellen Dershowitz, one of the most high-profile legal experts in the country. Dershowitz is infamous for working with notorious clients ranging from Michael Milken, Klaus von Bülow, O.J. Simpson, Mike Tyson, and in 2005, Jeffrey Epstein himself. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, alleges that Dershowitz was one of the elites who partook in Epstein's sex trafficking operation. When a New York Mag reporter mentioned his reputation for running naked on the beaches in Martha's Vineyard and hitting on students, Dershowitz admits that he's occasionally gone skinny dipping at a nude beach near his house, but denied the part about hitting on students. He calls all the sexual abuse accusations vicious lies. Prior to the Epstein scandal, Dershowitz suggested that he had a close friendship and enjoyed talking with Epstein. He sent rough drafts for one of his books to him, something he generally only shared with his immediate family. Flight logs published by Gawker indicate that he had flown a few times on Epstein's jet. While he maintains that he always travels with his wife, the logs don't record her as being present on these flights. What it does show is that he had flown with an unidentified female, a Hazel, a Claire, and a Ghislaine Maxwell. It's alleged Maxwell was a recruiter in Epstein's sex operation and participated in the sexual abuse. Dershowitz, a law professor at Harvard for 50 years, was one of the many connections Epstein made at the university. According to a report from NBC, Epstein wanted to conceal his association with the school, but former president of Harvard, Larry Summers, persuaded him to take credit for the scientific program he bankrolled. The late Marvin Minsky, an AI luminary and leading figure in MIT's Artificial Intelligence Lab, is alleged to have engaged in sexual abuse at Epstein's Island when he was 73. In response to these allegations, a computer science pioneer and visiting MIT scientist, Richard Stallman, questioned whether it qualified as abuse. In older blog posts on his website, the MIT scientist wrote that, quote, "There is little evidence to justify the widespread assumption that willing participation in pedophilia hurts children," end quote. In another post, he wrote that prostitution, adultery, necrophilia, bestiality, possession of child pornography, and even incest and pedophilia should all be, quote, legal as long as no one is coerced. They're illegal only because of prejudice and narrow-mindedness, end quote. At the end of the post, he writes, "Once my dead body is no longer of any use to me, it may as well be of some use to someone. Besides, I often enjoy nasal sex with dead plants. In response to the flurry of media coverage, Stallman released this statement. Headlines say that I defended Epstein. Nothing could be further from the truth. I've called him a serial rapist and said he deserved to be imprisoned. MIT's connection with Epstein moves well beyond these two members. The university claimed to have received $800,000 in donations from Epstein and was disqualified from donating to the university after his sex offender conviction. Ronan Farrow, an investigative reporter at The New Yorker, uncovered that despite this, quote, the MIT Media Lab worked closely with him, secretly taking donations from him or labeled as having been secured at his direction from his contacts, including Bill Gates, end quote. The donations had actually amounted to at least $7.5 million. One professor is known to have objected to these cover-ups, and many staff members feared for their safety. Some took to calling Epstein Voldemort and he who must not be named, further establishing his position in these powerful academic circles. He was also a member of the Mind, Brain, and Behavior Committee at Harvard, the New York Academy of Science, the Rockefeller University Board, and the EDGE organization. Epstein's network encompasses far more than academic institutions such as these. This much is reflected by his membership in powerful international relations organizations like the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. His reach in government extended to the very top. The media's primary focus is on President Donald Trump. In 2002, he said, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. In subsequent years, however, a falling out between Epstein and Trump occurred. According to the Washington Post, it happened 2 years later in 2004. It was over an oceanfront Palm Beach mansion. Joseph Lazinski, the trustee of the mansion, remembers, quote, it was something like Donald saying, you don't want to do a deal with him. He doesn't have the money. While Epstein was saying, Donald is all talk, he doesn't have the money, end quote. Court documents from 2011 suggest it may also be for another reason. It's alleged that Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for sexually assaulting a girl on the premises. The president says the reason for the fallout doesn't make any difference. Jeffrey Epstein was able to maintain a relatively low profile until 2002, when former President Bill Clinton flew to Africa on Epstein's jet. Upon his return, an excited Epstein told a friend, quote, if you were a boxer at the downtown gymnasium at 14th Street and Mike Tyson walked in, your face would have the same look as these foreign leaders had when Clinton entered the room. He is the world's greatest politician, end quote. Clinton was also pleased with the trip. Quote, Jeffrey's both a highly successful financier and a committed philanthropist with a keen sense of global markets and an in-depth knowledge of 21st century science, end quote. Following Epstein's arrest this year, Bill Clinton released a statement claiming he had only gone on 4 trips in Epstein's jet. One report from Gawker and another from Fox News suggest that the number of flights was higher. Clinton's office did not get back when the New York Times requested clarification about the discrepancy. These flights included women repeatedly accused of not only acting as groomers and recruiters in Epstein's sex trafficking operation, but participating. Another contradiction surfaces in Clinton's press release, where it stated that a Secret Service detail was always present. After filing a Freedom of Information request, Fox News reports that, quote, on a 5-leg Asia trip between May 22nd and May 25th in 2002, not a single service agent is listed. Clinton would have been required to file a form to dismiss the agent detail, a former Secret Service agent told Fox News. On one flight to Africa in 2002, Clinton and Epstein were joined by Kevin Spacey, the actor now accused of sexual misconduct by at least a dozen men. One said he was 14 when Spacey made sexual advances. Epstein was also friendly with film director Woody Allen. The two have been photographed together, and Epstein had a photo of the director in his Manhattan home. Englehart, one of Allen's past romantic interests, went on to become a personal assistant for Epstein. A member of the British royal family, Prince Andrew, was accused in a 2014 court filing to have been one of the men who Epstein forced a girl to have sex with. In 2015, it was ruled that the allegations were, quote, immaterial and impertinent, end quote. Prince Andrew's legal team claims that the photo of him featuring the alleged victim and Ghislaine Maxwell is fake. He does acknowledge that, in spite of Epstein's conviction as a sex offender, he continued his friendship with him. He was photographed with him in Central Park in 2010, and video exists of him in Epstein's Manhattan mansion. A testimony given by Jeffrey Epstein's accountant suggests that his political connections may extend well beyond the US. In the accountant's testimony, it stated that Jeffrey Epstein got his money start from Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is widely understood to be one of Epstein's closest associates and longtime friend. The Telegraph reports that her father was suspected to be associated with a number of intelligence agencies, ranging from the KGB to Mossad. Maxwell died mysteriously after he reportedly fell overboard from his boat. While it appears Epstein owed part of his financial start to this figure, one can't overlook the more glaring association with the former Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. Reaching the army's highest rank, he was the most decorated soldier in Israeli history. While he acknowledges that he did visit Epstein's island, he denies ever meeting any girls. In August, the Daily Beast reported that he frequently visited Epstein's Manhattan home. He told the publication that he couldn't comment due to the political environment in Israel. This quote from one of his girlfriends coincides with what Jeffrey Epstein told a New York Times reporter in 2018 under the condition of anonymity. Now that he's gone, the reporter revealed that Epstein claimed that he had damaging and embarrassing information on powerful people. While Tesla and Elon Musk flatly deny any connection, Epstein claimed that he was consulting with Musk after his tweets had ignited a controversy with the SEC. Instances like these seem to reveal part of Epstein's strategy in finessing his way into elite circles. He would simply suggest that he was associated with powerful people, and only sometimes could it be corroborated. One person close to Epstein described him as a starfucker, a person obsessed with and who seeks out personal interactions with celebrities. The New York Times reporter noticed this was a pattern with Epstein. Quote, "I was struck by how little information Mr. Epstein actually provided. While I can't say anything he said was an explicit lie, much of what he said was vague or speculative and couldn't be proved or disproved." Edward J. Epstein, a well-known journalist and former professor at Harvard and MIT, recounts that he got a similar sense from Jeffrey Epstein in an interview with the Daily Beast. The two are not related. He describes Jeffrey Epstein as a, quote, "unreliable witness and a liar," once claiming to Edward that he was, among other things, a private detective, and another time that he flew every month to Moscow to meet with Vladimir Putin. Maybe he was a calculated liar, but I had a feeling it was pathological, end quote. In the end, the number of powerful and wealthy individuals who successfully concealed their involvement in Jeffrey Epstein's schemes is likely more extensive than what we'll ever know. While Epstein's now dead, his hidden network no doubt still exists, ready to be taken over by someone more methodical and obscure than he.